It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Greene Brewery, and it's a bottle of their Ipa Gold. It's coming in at 4.1% ABV in a 500ml bottle. Brewed at the Westgate Brewery since 1799. I was lucky enough to go to the brewery a couple of years ago in 2018, I think it was, or 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. There's the bottle cap. But what a fantastic brewery, what a fantastic place, really is. If you're ever around the Bury St Edmunds area and you like beer, go in and visit the brewery. Nice bit of smoke on the bottle opening. Look at the carbonation. I've not, to be honest, this was a Christmas present. This was a box of beer from my father, and I had the West Coast. I can see the beers from here through my window in the conservatory. I've had the East Coast IPA, I've had the IPA Reserve, and I've had the regular IPA. But I've not had. I didn't even know that they had a gold version of their IPA. So what does gold mean? I would say they've changed the malt straight away. If I was to be a guessing man, they've swapped the malt out from their regular IPA, which is more of a ruby colour, and they've used some lighter malts. I'll show you an empty bottle. They've used some slightly lighter malts, and they've made it a lovely golden colour. They've probably changed the hops as well. They probably put some, if I was to be a guessing man, maybe some Cascade, American Cascade or something like that, or maybe something from Slovenia, just to change things up a little bit. Their IPA is probably their staple beer. The Greene IPA probably sells, it's probably the best selling beer, up there with probably Old Speckled Hen. And for a lot of the IPA drinkers, they want to point a difference. If they're going to try a gold version of the beer, they want it to taste different, so hence they probably changed the hops up. So we have a clear beer in the glass, good levels of carbonation. Should we get the aroma on the beer? It's come straight out of a box as well, so I'm not overly concerned about it being in a clear glass bottle. Mine's come out of a box. But I'm going to be perfectly honest, I always am on the channel. I'm sure everybody who may be watching at Greene won't mind. If this was on a supermarket shelf for, I don't know, maybe just a couple of weeks, then the fluorescent lights from the supermarket shelf could possibly skunk the beer, and that could be a problem for the beer. It is a problem for the beer, no doubt about it. But first of all, I wanted to rule out and just say there's no skunkiness in my beer. It's coming from a cardboard box. It's light, it's hoppy, it's malty, some of them kind of toffee malts coming through. Spicy, peppery. Should we dive in? Cheers, everybody. Oh, it's an interesting brew. A really interesting brew. I'm going to go in for a second taste. It's got all of the same kind of toffee-like malty characteristics, which I kind of wouldn't expect from a lighter coloured beer. It's thrown me a little bit. Normally with a lighter coloured beer you get more kind of like wafer flavours, more kind of like wafer biscuit, kind of light airy, kind of malty, light toast flavours, rather than big sticky toffee. But that's what you get, is a big sticky toffee kind of flavour in the beer. And then a lovely I like this aspect of the beer. A lovely kind of bitterness. They've used a lot of bittering hops in the beer, and it's kind of light and floral and lemony and a bit like biting lemon peel. It's taken me a few tastes of the beer to really wrap my head around it. I'm not saying it's overly complex, but it's certainly a thinking beer. I think you could probably taste this if you were a real kind of beer connoisseur. Like, I'm not going to say myself, but I've reviewed over 5,800 beers from around the world. I've had some of the most kind of hoppy, juicy, lemony kind of fruit hop bomb beers out there in my time drinking beer. And if you're in that ballpark, if you're a massive kind of, say, Cloudwater or Verdant kind of drinker, you may initially like look at this review or look at this, not the review, but look at the beer that I am reviewing and scoff at it. But I think you shouldn't. I think, okay, maybe it needs to be in the right conditions. We'll go into the kind of the box beer and it being dark and no light getting to the beer in a moment, in a very close moment. We'll go into it, or might as well go into it now, I suppose. But I just want to finish my point. It's a complex one. It's a complex one, even for your kind of Verdant or Cloudwater type beer drinker. The style of beers you will like, because this is a lot more than just being a juice bomb. Lots of kind of fruit and citrus and mango flavors in the middle. This is more kind of malt, admittedly kind of biscuit toffee malt, which is kind of strange for it being such a light beer. A little bit of flavour in the middle. A little bit of jammy tartness maybe coming through in the middle. A little bit of lemon flavour. And then back end, bitterness, kind of like a Slovenian hop bitterness. We'll have a little look at the... So they've described it as fragrant floral citrus fruits. The taste is light and refreshing. Golden ale with citrus notes. They've used... Oh, blimey. Savinski Goldings hops to create a complex mix of lemon, citrus, floral and spicy notes. Late hopping creates hints of tropical fruits. I think it's something in the right circumstances to consider. And these are the right circumstances I want to speak to you guys about today. Clear glass bottles. What happens is the hops, in the industry we call it light strike or skunkiness for a more general term between beer drinkers. And that's to do with the ultraviolet lights that come from the sun or fluorescent tubes in a supermarket. What happens, they've described the beer as being citrusy, fragrant, floral, fruity, lovely kind of... Yeah, that sounds great in practice. But what happens to the hop after it produces that lovely flavour? Once it's in the beer and then it's exposed to light, it gets a bit of light strike or a bit of skunkiness. And what happens is that lovely floralness, juiciness, grapefruitiness. I think there's some videos on YouTube about how quickly this can happen. Somebody left a like an IPA in the sun and was tasting it every 20 minutes, and they determined by after an hour and 20 minutes the beer already had some kind of form of skunkiness. The hops were turning from being lovely and citrusy to something what might come out of a skunk's backside. And this is where again, I'm sure Greene King won't mind too much. I've been there. I enjoyed their hospitality. Thank you very much. Great people. It's probably kind of boardroom decision stuff, this, that they want to put it in a clear glass bottle because they show the liquid inside. And when they show the liquid inside, the unconcerned drinker, the person who just buys beer, like that IPA selection from Greene King out there, my father probably paid his 12 bottles out there. He probably paid about 14 quid in Lidl for these beers. And yeah, that's fine. You got a lot of people that go, I'm going to buy that because they're cheap. It'd be perfectly fine in the cardboard box I mentioned earlier. But and that's who they're selling to. That's the reason why the beer's in a clear glass bottle, because a lot of people buy with their eyes. And it's a real shame that people buy with their eyes. It's a real shame that people buy with their eyes and they buy with price. It should be more of, like anything in life, really. If you want a really good steak, you pay a bit more. If you want a cheap steak, you'll go to a Marston's pub. You know, that type of thing, you know. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. Maybe in the future, they may decide to put the beers back in brown glass where there won't be any kind of light strike going on, because the light gets reflected back and the beer is protected by the brown glass. But let's rate what we have. Let's rate what we have. I think what I have here is a pretty decent beer. It's malty, it's hoppy, it's spicy, it's peppery. It's everything that I like in a beer. And I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.